These games aren't for everyone, but if you fit the criteria of the target audience for at least one of these games and you haven't played it, you might be missing out on your new favorite PS5 game. See, I've been perusing the top 10 best-selling PS5 games in the US. It's really not a great list, including unfortunate titles such as GTA 5-3 and Destiny 2-2, but it got me thinking about the best games that I've played on PS5 and how only a few of them would ever top a chart like this. They're not the most obscure titles to ever hit the market, but as evidenced by this list, far fewer people have played them than they deserve. By the end of this video, I want to have you hooked up with at least one killer game wreck that you can take home to mom and dad without having to lie about where you guys met. So, without further ado, here are 5 mind-blowing PS5 games you might not own and why you'll probably enjoy them. Game 1, Returnal. In this game, you play as President Joe Biden. You have no idea where you are or what you're doing there, but you do know you're on a hostile alien planet with no clear goal and you have to restart every time you die. Sound fun? No? Yeah, it really doesn't, and that's probably why Returnal didn't exactly sell like hotcakes upon its release, despite the critics treating it like it was Meryl Streep on Oscar night. On paper, this game might sound like trying to convince Greta Thunberg to take a private jet to the plastic straw factory. However, because I'm lazier than the Counter-Strike 2 Twitter announcement, I wouldn't be recommending it to you if this game required some true resilience to get through. It's not like anyone could breeze through this game with their eyes closed, but if you've ever completed a shooter on a harder difficulty setting or gone positive in a Call of Duty lobby, you should be fine. This game makes a point of presenting as all ambiguous and uninviting at first, but deep down on the inside, she's just a finely tuned, highly polished arcade shooter that wants to be loved. If that doesn't summarize my middle school years, I don't know what does. There are 6 procedurally generated environments in Returnal, and they each conclude with a visually astounding boss experience. The thing is, you only have to beat the bosses once, and there's actually a checkpoint at the start of stage 4, so that whole start the whole game over business is really just meant to ward off potential customers, I guess. Anyways, the game has best-in-class third-person shooter game feel, a haunting yet epic soundscape that uses 3D audio perfectly, and incredibly well-executed artistic and narrative cherries on top. If you like Doom, Sekiro, Resogun, Dead Space, or Destiny, you should pause this video, get the lube, and ride this game as hard as I am. If twitch shooters and alien planets aren't your thing, not to worry. Our next game is for you. Game 2, Sackboy: A Big Adventure. Let's cut right to the chase here. This is the same developer that made the mediocre and buggy at launch LBP3. But since Rocksteady Games jumped from the unremarkable urban chaos Riot response to the genre-defining Arkham Asylum, I have not seen a game dev glow up this hard. Sumo Digital is the Neville Longbottom of game development for this one, because Sackboy nails most of what made LBP 1 and 2 memorable, and then some. Sure, Sackboy is a bit simplistic on the gameplay front, and doesn't include the robust creator mode that helped make Little Big Planet what it was back in the day. But this game absolutely knocks it out of the park in a few key areas. First, couch co-op is back for this one. What's increasingly become more and more of a commodity used to be the thing that made games awesome for me when I was a kid. I got to play this entire game's campaign with one of my younger brothers, and that's the aspect that made it feel like a true, non-GMO, BPA-free Little Big Planet experience. Games are just more fun with friends, and Sackboy knows that. What Sackboy also knows is that the original 2 Little Big Planet games should have won a Grammy for their soundtracks, because it is no slouch in that department either. Some levels even act as bizarre, playable musicals that mainly work on account of just how great their tunes are. I won't spoil my favorites, but let's just say it feels like Sony signed a blank check for music licensing on this one. The third place Sackboy scores a home run is its difficulty scaling. The main campaign is simple, almost a little too much so, but the optional in-game challenges, such as completing levels without dying, or the insane endgame time trial called the Rip Snorter, can really ratchet up the challenge to surprising new heights. Whether you're bringing a gold-plated SCUF controller or 3 brain cells to the table, there's a very high-quality co-op experience waiting here for you in a +1, or +2, or +3. Fans of LBP, LEGO games, Rayman, or Super Mario Galaxy are sure to find this one worthwhile. If you hate children, bright colors, and pop music, go ahead and skip to Game 3. Game 3, Life is Strange: True Colors. When I played the original Life is Strange in 2015, I was like, cool, they made a walking simulator where you can play as that one weird girl mural from my art class. I bounced off the game pretty quickly and never looked back. In 2021, Life is Strange True Colors fell onto my radar after being mentioned in a Game of the Year conversation on the Kinda Funny Games cast, which I'm a huge fan of. Out of sheer respect for Greg Miller, I forked over $25, my sense of masculinity, and 10 hours of my life and completed the game. I don't know what kind of childhood PTSD is going on for the writers over at Deck 9, but goddamn this game got me. It's beautiful, heavy, and almost creates some kind of bizarre sense of nostalgia for itself even when you're just now playing it. It takes place in a small mountain town in Colorado where everyone is a gorgeous bisexual hipster who works at some sort of local shop. The plot revolves around stuff I won't spoil in case you play it, and it's kinda hard to pitch beyond it's only $20 and not that long, so what is there to lose? The game is one of those Mass Effects without the fun part type indie titles in which you normally just walk and talk and regret your purchase, but the characters and the story are so well done and engrossing here, I just have to give it my cosign. I'm normally a the story is annoying, where's the Elden Ring kind of gamer, so the fact that I love this so much should speak volumes if you're a similar minded player. If you like this kind of stuff, Telltale, the original Life is Strange, etc., then this is a surefire buy for you, especially since it's so cheap. If you're a gameplay guy who lives for platinum trophies like me, I might still give this one a shot. You can use it as a guilty pleasure chick flick between sharpening your nuts in Dark Souls and growing your beard in Doom Eternal One Life Permadeath Blindfolded Final Boss with a Wii Remote DLC. Game 4, Wo Long, Fallen Dynasty. Speaking of sharpening your nuts, here's Wo Long, whose villain roster includes iconic greats like Blindfolded Boy and the Corrupt Eunuch. Wo Long is like if you take the learning curve from a FromSoft game and just crush it all up against the first boss and then you're kinda good to go from there. Seriously, this game does not explain itself at all, so prepare for the first boss to feel like the final exam of a college course you've never taken. Once you travel to your local Best Buy, buy the Prima game guide and spend Wo Long studying, you'll realize the bite ain't the bark and you can pancake the first boss. From there, it's basically a cracked out, super addictive, but not quite as polished version of Dark Souls. The game makes you explore because each level has its own ranking system, and in order to scale to the boss properly, you need to find a bunch of flags hidden around the map and activate them for your map level to increase permanently. Depending on what your map level is, the boss is either light work or you're Taylor Swift, and the boss thinks Beyonce had one of the best videos of all time. The game provides a formula of how to conquer each of its maps, each of its new enemy types, and its bosses. The combat revolves around a central dodge mechanic, and once you get this and its exploration concepts down, you're off to the races, and yeah, they put crack in this game. Its barrier of entry is not the lowest on this list, but if you're willing to watch a few YouTube videos explaining its mechanics, then Wo Long is willing to drip feed you dopamine in the form of its gameplay. Souls fans will for sure want to pick this one up, but fans of other combat system based games may too. If you like Ghost of Tsushima, Arkham Knight, or God of War, at least check this one out. People who don't play games to persevere or look stuff up on YouTube may want to skip this, but if you've been eyeing Souls style games for a while, this may be a good place to start as it is not the hardest. Game 5, Demon's Souls. So yeah, you've probably heard of this one, but here's the pitch. Elden Ring has sold over 20 million copies. This game has sold 1.4 million. If you're anything like me, Elden Ring was your true introduction to Souls games, and previous titles you've tried may have felt unwelcoming to you. After I beat Elden Ring, I was able to go back and really fall in love with this game, where I hadn't really gotten it before. If you're one of the 18.6 million people who fell for Elden Ring but don't own this, it might be worth a spin. It's not necessarily the best in the series, but with Bluepoint's new coat of paint, it's going for the gold in performance and Time Magazine's sexiest game alive in the looks department. FromSoft games have never exactly been smooth, so this is kind of a worthwhile novelty based on that alone. Also, a lot of this game is more knowledge than skill based, so if you'd rather do some light research on a boss as opposed to having your reflexes put to the test, this game can be on the easier side. Either way, it's FromSoft, so it's really well made. It has a pretty kick-ass platinum trophy, and if you're at all into the series, this is a great purchase. This might not be a great starting point for those who aren't, but given the popularity of Elden Ring, I think there's a lot of people who have a foot in the door but haven't jumped on this yet. Thank you for watching and have a good rest of your day.